Spurs, what is happening, Spurs? Merry Christmas, Spurs. Merry Christmas to you over in Australia. Good to see you. Good to see you. Got my Santa Claus hat on for the festivities. There's my dude right there, Chad Rev Art. Let's see about getting that guy up here. See what he's got going on. We're going to have to do some changing stuff around here. First, we got to mirror that. And,
oh, man.
Now we got to figure out. We got to figure out how to.
Now you got to look at my stupid face.
Your face. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Dude, I'm excited and tired. Both. Little column A,
excited
little
and tired.
Column B. Yeah, what about yourself?
Man, I'm kind of in the same boat with you, buddy.
Phew.
A little tired. I'm pushing buttons here, trying to get you bigger, but you know that might.
That's what she said.
There he is, y'all. There he is.
Oh,
Ladies
whoa!
and
Hey, you
gentlemen,
guys are over here. Looking over
Chad
there.
Rev Art. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to know I just got a report from Mrs. Ginn. She did make cookies. We are ready for Santa Claus. He just came across through Newfoundland. He is now in Canada, according to NORAD. And to my understanding, he came under siege by the abominable snowman and
Oh, my God.
Cornelius.
Prick.
And Can-Do, to my understanding, Can-Do has showed up and saved the day. He is back on track. I think we have called in Eve's Artistry, and when he gets to the border, Eve is gonna escort him into the United States. So I think everything is okay.
Oh, yeah. If he's in the hands of Can-Do being transferred over to Eve's Artistries, kids, rest well. Santa Claus is coming tonight.
Don't worry, kids. Can-Do
Eve
artist
will make sure of that.
and Eve have gotten him back on track. Eve's artwork is right there. I'm backwards now, y'all. Sorry.
Backwards.
Right
He's
from
always
my
a little
left.
backwards. That's why we love you.
You've been good
Chip,
all
that's a
year,
lie.
Chipster. Liar.
That's a lie. Liar.
I am absolutely confident that Chip has been in my shop, Chad. I'm telling you. He
Guys,
keeps leaving little chiplets.
I'm really worried about Jen. I think he's starting to get a little rough mentally in his old age. I'm afraid that's what. And a ball humbug to you, Crimson. You can check this out. Look at this, Crimson. You get the first one of the evening. There we go. Bro.
So tonight, bro, we have on Spurs, man, and this has been planned since April. I don't know.
I think it was planned before we even TikTok. The universe knew it was coming, and here it is.
Yeah.
The day you've all been waiting for.
And I got to tell y'all, Spurs is a time traveler. It is already Christmas time, Christmas morning right now, where Spurs is at.
Yeah.
So Spurs did help out when Santa went through Australia. To my understanding, Spurs was on standby, and because Spurs was on standby, there were no problems.
Well, yeah. And I want you guys to take note that Santa might be taking the gifts, but as you have heard this evening, he has been escorted, protected, and taken care of by an all-woman crew all across the world. So y'all think about that for a minute.
Yes, absolutely. Were it not for the Can-Do artist, Eve's Artistry, and Spurs, there would not be Christmas this year. But thank goodness we averted disaster.
I want you guys to all think about sending them a Christmas gift. And I know, obviously, it'll be late, but, go ahead and do it, because without them, y'all wouldn't even have Christmas. I sent him on a fully drunk and with a mud map. Oh, I don't know what a mud map is, Spurs, but do I want you to explain it on TikTok? Yeah, and you can wait and explain it when you're up if you want, but fully drunken with a mud map. That is exactly why Can-Do had to pick up and help.
Merry Christmas, Dirty.
Yo, Dirty.
Heard that, the foo-foo. You will explain that later. Gotcha, Spurs. All right, so I'm jotting down. What'd she say? Mud flaps? Mud map.
No, she said a mud map.
Mud map. Question
I mean,
mark.
I've got
All
my
right.
suspicions, but I'm probably worse off than what she doesn't want to explain on TikTok.
So Mr. Rev Art, I saw that you were working on a piece for your father the other day, and I actually came in your live and absolutely destroyed it. Just absolutely wrecked your entire live.
No, you evolved
And then I
something
noticed
different.
And then I noticed that you were on again the next day, and it seemed like the masses were out yesterday. And Jason said the same thing. So maybe the Christmas shoppers were out. How's your dad's bowl coming along?
Man, it was going great until something that we had a discussion about decided to rear its ugly head. Thank you to Fufu. And that's voids. Voids in cedar. And it wasn't going to have liquid in it or anything, but now it cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to see? Let me make sure there's nothing un-TikTokly over here, because there was a minute ago when we started the show and I had to move it. I had a stupid ass burrito sitting right here. Can you believe that?
Oh, they're
started
delicious.
the show with a burrito. Crazy. Here, check it out. Let me show you. Let me show you
Wilson.
something.
How are you
Kira
doing,
Wilson. So here's one.
Hey, Lord Jane. You don't have your camera on, buddy.
Oh, seriously?
Seriously, pal. There you are.
There we go. Here, to give you, there we are. See?
Oh,
here's
that's
one.
Cool, though. Yeah.
I like this one. This one looks cool. Cool with just leaving it. Again, we're not making this for liquid. But look at this.
Yeah.
Bam!
Is that all soft?
This. I've gotten pretty much all of it out, but not quite. And I'm worried that this is going to do the same thing.
Hey, Flash.
And I'm just not real hype with the way it looks here. So we'll get it figured. I've been cleaning this one out too, but I'm not too worried about this one. This one looks pretty dang cool.
That's the thing about cedar, man, is it's got these voids and stuff in it sometimes. It's a risky proposition when you start cutting into it.
Yeah, and I think I'm really going to have to test some of this here, because I think this is going to be the same situation. So we're going to have a nice void here. So I got to figure out what to do with this top part to make it look cool.
I see conversations with. Wait, let me see. Yep, I see conversations with Chad Rev Art in my future.
Very near future, because I'm finishing this tonight, my friend.
Tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
I mean,
I'm not going to have a finish on it.
Is that a cocktail glass in it?
Yeah, dude, check it.
That is sexy, bro.
It's for and I've got a whole set of them.
I thought you were about to ask me if I wanted a highball.
Maybe. But yeah, it's got 3 spots, and I got a whole set of them. I've just got one set out right now.
That's cool,
it holds those. I actually thought about making this spot down here for another one. And just seat it way down in there. Because I've got 4 of them, and there's only 3 spots up here. So I can make this right here where this void is. I can make another holder. And as you see, it comes out on both sides. So by the time I get this down in there far enough, it'll hit all this angle. So it'll give it a nice seat. So I think it may... I don't know. We're going to be talking about it, though, again. We're going to be talking about it. That's the truth.
Yeah, it'd be good for holding dip. I feel you, Laura Jane. I like the creativity. She got a game plan. We got cheese dip in one of them. We got salsa in another one.
Yes.
What y'all want in the third one?
That's kind of what I was making it for, to be honest.
What you gonna put in the third one, Chad? We got I call salsa and cheese dip in the first 2. What we gonna put in the other
one? Hot salsa, mild salsa, cheese dip, my friend.
Okay.
And then we put a fourth. We put
Miss
a fourth.
approved.
I don't know, some avocado, I don't know, guac or something. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna have a talk about it. These were fun, fitting all these in here. Man, I got a whole bunch of people in here. Guac, yeah, probably right, Laura Jane. Space dip. My dad doesn't do the space dip, but I might put one out for me.
Would y'all
can I get one of those?
Yeah, Miss Ginn made cookies for Santa.
This is bad.
These are no bullshit.
Right.
She made these.
Yeah.
And they're delicious. They are delicious.
My wife, she just made pancakes. It's kind of a Christmas Eve tradition.
That's cool.
Me and my ladies,
cool.
She made pancakes. I just scarfed them right before now. They were blueberry. Oh my God. Blueberries in it. Oh my God.
for Santa.
I know they do look great, don't they?
So,
What up, Theria?
So, what's up, Theria? So, Chad, we got a friend of ours on tonight, man, and it's pretty cool because for folks that don't know, I'm gonna give a little bit, just a touch, just a taste, for folks that don't know what they're dealing with. Hey, Kira, what are you doing?
Hi, Kira. Oh, I got some of those coming tomorrow with chili.
So Spurs was made out of spare parts in the outback of Australia, and at a very young age, I think at like 2 or 3, she was boxing kangaroos and surfing with great white sharks and stuff like that.
On great white sharks.
Right, absolutely. And
Spaceman.
and she also is an amazing artist, but what a lot of people don't know, because she's such a humble and kind of quiet person, she has 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 children that were autistic, that are on the spectrum. She created felt storyboards for kids that have verbal problems. And she's not just an artist, man. She is a humanitarian. She's an inventor, and she is tough. She got thrown over the front of a horse at full gallop, got kicked in the head, and then went and checked on the horse. So I'm excited that Spurs is going to be on, dude. I really dig Spurs. Yeah. She's a dear friend, and she's one of the people that been behind the scenes supporting you and I, man, from Jump Street. So
yes, yeah, and you know what I love is here in the States, people before they do something crazy, they're all like, "Hold my beer," and when you're hanging out with Spurs, she's like, "Hold my roux." I love that.
Hold my roux.
Hold my roux, mate. Natasha,
and it occurs to
double
me,
OG.
This is the one show throughout the entire year that Eve's painting makes sense. Mrs. Ginn took care of some making sure we're ready for Santa to come.
No, see, that painting actually makes perfect sense from like the 1st of October until like a couple of days from now, because you start Halloween at the very 1st of October, so you can start watching it then, because it's a Halloween movie, but it's also a Christmas movie, so you can watch it all the way. But here's the thing about it: you better stop after Christmas Day. That's where Christmas stops. You guys start it earlier and earlier every year, so when it's over, you bet it's over. It's just over. Enjoy it, love it, but when it's done, wipe it off on the teddy bear, leave $1 on the headboard, and go home.
Chipster, I think he was talking to you, man. So y'all, another couple announcements that we have. I'm sure Chad probably has a few as well. But if you would, please indulge me. Please go follow Chad Rev Art on all these other platforms, especially on Favorited, because Chad and I have been in the... Hey, Darkwing, how's it going? Chad and I have been in the lab again, and in the new year, in January, we're coming out with a new show. It is only going to be... Thank you, Laddie. It's only going to be on Favorited exclusively. You're still going to have the Ginn Project show right here, same bat time, same bat channel. You're still going to have the Chad Rev Art show on Thursdays, but we got some new stuff coming out for you. It doesn't matter what happens with TikTok. We want it to stay, then that would be lovely. But regardless, we want to stay in touch with all of y'all. So whatever platform you're on, we're going to try to find you there, and we're looking forward to that. Chad will have some announcements. I know we have already announced it, so I can go ahead and say it. Ashman, who is in the chat right now, is going to be our third for that. Ashman is now a part of the new show that we're coming out with. He's going to be the MC for that show. What up, Outlaw Drums? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you,
What
man.
up, dude?
We will. So got more coming with that. We have also reached out to Haley Beth from Haley Dot. And Haley Beth is going to be emceeing the Ginn Project show starting next week. She is at home right now with family. So she wasn't able to make it this evening, which is completely understandable, and I hope she's having a great time. But Haley Beth is going to be the new MC for the Ginn Project show. We've got some other spot pieces coming in. I've reached out to Lady Shine. Lady Shine has agreed to do a spot piece for us. And I've reached out to a couple other people, Warren Haynes, Jake Willoughby from CR Alsip Guitars. I see Michael Outlaw is in the chat, so we will be getting in touch with that dude because there will be a reoccurring segment on the Ginn Project of a 5 or 10 minute spot related to music. So, Mr. Outlaw, we finally got a spot to plug Mr. Outlaw in. So,
yeah,
we got lots of stuff coming at you. There's merch. You can go to Live, Laugh, and Offend. They got hats, Ginn Project shirts, all that kind of thing. You can go to TeePublic and find Ginn Project stickers and all that kind of stuff. And the same, man, I'm backwards. The same for this dude right here. Go check out what he's got going on. He's got some new shirts out. He's got you can get hats. You could get candles that smell like Chad Rev art. They're absolutely lovely.
They're flanged on the end too, so they won't be gone.
They got proboscises on them.
Yeah. Nice flare.
So the way the Ginn Project show is going to go in the new year
is downhill.
Downhill is in this first 30 or 40 minute segment after we go downhill, and he is absolutely right. We are going to have each show will have a brief guest of 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll be specific to a topic, like music or poetry or things like that. So there won't be as many shout outs because we will actually be bringing people on once a month to shout out what's going on in their community for the upcoming month. So Lady Shines, for example, will be coming on. And she'll take a minute. She'll take, 10 minutes or so. Thank you, Darcel. And she's going to be telling us about what she's got going on, what shows, all the poetry stuff, the events that they have happening, and she'll be able to give us a calendar of events. Thank you, Darcel. Thank you, Toya. And she'll be able to give a calendar of events, and we're going to do that. I've reached out to Real Gardens, and we're going to talk. He does bonsai trees. So I thought it would be cool to have somebody on that was dealing with living trees since I deal with the other end of them. Nice. So we got some stuff planned for you, and there's more to come that I can't announce yet. Chad's got some stuff coming I can't announce yet. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Chad Rev Art because I know he's got some shit to tell y'all.
I'm going to continue what you started here, and I'm going to add a couple of names to that pile. I would like to tell you on the brand new show, which we're not going to tell you the name of yet. Wait for it. We have, like he was talking about reoccurring stuff. I have talked to Uncle Knowing. So Uncle Knowing will be gracing our brand new show with his presence, and I have ordered him to turn to 11. I've asked for the Dr. Demento crazy. I've requested exactly what the brand new show needs, and I believe that not only is he up to it, he's prepared for it and excited for it. I've also talked to our old buddy Zach, the chainsaw artist, and he's going to be making some appearances on our stuff here pretty soon.
Zach, the chainsaw artist?
Yes.
Be careful with that. He's good, man. People might start wanting his carvings instead of yours.
They already do.
Hey,
too late.
And you might as well go ahead and announce that Chip is part of your show and that you are sending him to spy on me because I know that's happening. You might as well go ahead and announce it.
Nah. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know that Chip is coming in my shop, and I know that you're responsible for it.
Why would I do that? That?
I don't know. Why did y'all decide to reveal yourselves here recently?
Well, it was kind of done for us, so we were just like, do you really want me to explain that again? Because it has to do with what you humans do that we don't do where I'm from, and we didn't even know it existed.
Chipster said, I'll see myself out.
I'll see myself out.
Busted. He keeps leaving little evidence around my shop.
I'll keep his attention over here. Look at me again. Look at me. Don't look over by the door. Look right over here, and that's okay. Excellent, Chip. Anyway, We are going to be having a Chad Rev Art show on Thursday. I don't think, you know what? I don't have anybody booked for the window. So if anybody here would like to be in the window, you are more than welcome to tell me you want to be in the window, and I'll put you in there. And if we don't have a window, that's fine too. Because we've been really busy doing other stuff like writing new shows, setting up entire networks so we can simulcast.
What's up, BK?
And I would like to point out, listen, guys, January 2nd, I believe, falls on a Thursday. And that means the ball is in my court on the Chad Rev Art Show. And that happens to be the 1-year anniversary of the GIN Project. So if you guys would do me the greatest favor you could and all join around at the Chad Rev Art Show on January 2nd to celebrate our homeboy here and all the work that we put in and all the work that you guys have put in over the last year to make this amazing community that's around us. I would love if you guys can join us January 2nd, Chad Rev Art Show, 6 Central, 7 Eastern, all the fun stuff. We might do some special stuff or sing Happy Birthday to Gin or something. I don't know.
That means my show is on New Year's Eve as well as Christmas Eve. That's going to be fun.
BKJ, thank you.
That's going to be fun. Even if it's just me and you, that's going to be fun. So what we're going to do on that show. Yeah?
Yeah?
Go ahead. You had a thought.
Well, I was just going to say, I hope I didn't screw up the dates there, but it seems to be January 2nd on a Thursday if I looked earlier. If anybody wants to check and call me out for being stupid, please do so now. This would be a great time. You were saying what you're going to be doing on that show?
Well, I mean, we had a show scheduled to where we're just going to have the artists from the wall behind me pop up if they want to and talk about the art they have on the wall. We're just going to do a whole show, and the guest is going to be the artist on the wall.
That'll be excellent.
And then we also were in discussions to potentially do another show where we do all the people we're collaborating with. But that might get even really complicated. So I don't know about that one.
Very complicated. But hey, yeah, we're gonna have some celebratory shows of the 1-year mark of the GIN Project. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm very proud of us to making it to this year mark. I'm very proud.
And the 1 year,
I'm very proud of myself. It's
the 1 year anniversary. It all started of you asking me to be the co-host on your show. That's how all this shit started, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then you're like, oh, well, maybe you should have a show, Gid. Maybe
you were like,
maybe that idea you had about asking questions is a good idea. And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good, man. I just want to build stuff, dude.
And I was like, come on, man. The people need you. I was like, the people need the GIN. Guys, tell him I was right. We're almost at the year mark. Tell him that the people needed the damn GIN. I believe
so.
That's
we are going to continue to try to create a space where people can come and enjoy themselves. If we're doing a flow state, enjoy yourself in the chat. If we're doing the show, enjoy yourself in the chat. And also, every once in a while, we try to bring folks up in boxes, but that also gets complicated. So, hey, Silly Wabbit. I love it.
Silly Wabbit.
Lord J.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Silly Wabbit.
I love that. Silly Wabbit Catfishing Pat. That's a hell of a name. I dig it.
Silly Wabbit Catfishing
That's awesome.
Pat. That's kind of hard to say.
So, is there anything else that you had in mind that you wanted to talk about, Mr. Rev Art?
Man, I'm not sure, homie. Am I forgetting something that you know about?
No, not at all. I was just
forget
giving an
stuff a lot.
opportunity. I was just giving an opportunity.
Okay.
I would also like to say that the last show last week was absolutely amazing. And the response that y'all had for Aaron Hannons was incredible. I've had a couple conversations with him and others since then. And what's up, Flash? It was incredible. It really was an incredible experience. And thank y'all. I just want to thank everybody that was involved in that, from the people that donated, like Chip, Wafty Llama, folks like that. I think that the reason I bring that up, Chad, is you started this thing, man, and we didn't know it when you started it. But I'll say this on this show. I told you this the other day. I dedicated my life to trying to help people within a certain population. That was all about why I went in the service, was to get the GI Bill so that I could get to college, so that I could get to the point that I would have the credentials that I needed to write my own program and to teach. And I did that, and I got burned out, as you know. But I sincerely believe that with the community that we have created on this platform, and I believe we have the data to prove it, I was able to help with Chad and all of you people, more folks in 1 year on a social media platform than I was able to help when my whole life was dedicated to working with a population of folks that needed help. So from the bottom of my heart, thank y'all. I don't know that has a whole lot of context, but my background is in psychology and special education, and I had my own practice writing training programs for folks that had a variety of needs. And I believe that in the past year, with all of the help of all of the people involved with the Again Project Show and with the Chad Rev Art Show, that we've actually helped more people in their lives than I was able to help in my profession. So thank everyone very much. And I'm completely and 100% sincere when I say that. And it's because of all of y'all. So that's why we're going to try to expand to other platforms, because we believe that this formula will work on other platforms, because the key ingredient is the people, the folks helping each other out. And as long as we can provide a place for people to do that, and as long as people are willing to do that, Chad and I are going to be trying to make it happen. So thank you, brother, for starting that journey. Thank you for whatever crazy reason seeing something in me. And it's been a hell of a journey, man. It's been a hell of a ride, bro. It really has.
It has been, dude. It has been.
And it all culminated in a Santa Claus hat. If there's anybody out there that can send me a picture of a Santa Claus hat like this one, I'll send you some swag.
Whoa! Ho, ho, ho. You know, it's real close to Jabba.
So we don't have our dear friend Haley with us today, and tonight someone reached out to me, Jake Willoughby from CR Alsip Guitars, and he and Spurs are friends, and he asked if he could come on and say a word or two. So at some point tonight we're going to see Jake. He asked me what time, but I have no way of knowing what time, so we're going to try to just kind of wing it. And Spurs, if you're out there, raise your hand, and if we could get one of our mods to go ahead and send Spurs up. There we go. We might not be after tonight. And I hope you enjoy yourself tonight. Tonight we got Spurs on. Many of you know Spurs. Many of you have benefited directly from Spurs walking this planet. Spurs is a dear friend of mine. Spurs is one of the folks that I have conversations with when I'm trying to figure some things out. So I'm really grateful that Spurs would be able to do this. We've had this plan literally since early in the year, but we knew that the time change and all of that. She had the foresight to say, hey, look, I'll do it Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. So that's what we're doing. Spurs, can we hear you?
How about we do a sound check and a face check?
Hey, there
Good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas for those who celebrate. For those that don't, have a good day.
How are you, Spurs?
Doing good. Doing good.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It's 10:30 Christmas morning here. We made sure Santa got through. I did send him on a little bit drunk, and I did send him with a mud map. Now, the explanation of a mud map, Chad, is a very roughly drawn map. So he headed past the black stump, he turned left, and then he went another 30 clicks down the road. He turned right at the gum tree, and then he hit the Oodnadatta pub, and then he headed off.
Yes.
The pub is the
Very
most
good.
important part of that, I think.
Yes.
Getting it out of pub.
At the gum tree, you got to turn at the gum tree and hit the pub. I got you. I think I've been there before, Spurs. I think I've been to that pub.
That'll work.
I've never been to Australia,
like-
but I've been to that pub. It was something to do with Chad's spaceship. I'm not sure how we did that.
Probably.
What's up,
So how
Chris?
is everyone this morning?
Excellent.
How are you all doing this morning? Let me see.
I
if
am
can get
lovely. I'm excited to have you on finally. Well, correct me here, Spurs. I want to say it was the April-May time frame when you and I were talking. And you said, again, I think it'll be about Christmas time or New Year's before I'm
That
going to
would
be
be
able to do that.
That would be it, because I get 1 week off a year, and this is my week off. So here I am.
Well, it is
I really
amazing.
don't even get the week off because I actually work in my own business as well as working for another business. So, but hey, it is what it is.
A little lighter of a load, kind of.
A little bit,
Just
just
barely.
a little bit.
So Spurs, we're going to go ahead and get the first question out of the way because you get this one a whole lot. And you get tired of hearing it and you get tired of talking about it. So we're going to do it right at the beginning and get it out of the way. Spurs, can you tell me what it's like to live in Australia?
Well, right now it's like the devil's armpit, and every now and then he lifts his arm to check under there and he breathes on us, and it's bloody hot.
It's hot in Australia. 125 plus Fahrenheit, 50 something Celsius.
We had that a couple of days ago. It was absolutely scorching. It was just terrible. Unfortunately, even though I live near the coast, like the coast is 2 minutes down the road, it still gets darn hot here.
Now,
So it's-
by the coast 2 minutes down the road, I got a little tingle. Is there surf there?
Oh, we have the best surfing beach straight down the road, like literally. Down the road and around the roundabout and then round the corner.
Oh, Spurs. Oh, Spurs. I love you. I love you even more now, Spurs.
And the best
You're
windsurfing beach is another minute and a half from that one.
Heard that. Is that where you go and save babies once a week?
Oh, I just go down there and check on all the walruses and all the rest of it that wash up on the beach and then send them back on their way where they're meant to be.
Walruses.
Walruses, y'all. Y'all didn't know Spurs saved walruses, did you? So in all of our conversations, Spurs, that we've ever had, that would be an air compressor. I am in a shop. Stand by.
Loud noises. I'm so excited you're here, Spurs.
We did ask for technical difficulties today, so that's all good. At least I've got full signal, or sort of full signal, and I can actually hear you guys, because the other day I couldn't hear anyone.
That would have been a difficult interview, Spurs, but you'd probably pull it off still. You could probably still pull it off.
I probably would have been writing things down, answering them, and just been...
And you'd have probably written them backwards where they look straight when you put them up there. What's up, Vertebreaker? What up, Peter Lowe? Spurs, if there's anybody in the chat you wanted to say hi to or anything, you probably know everybody. You know more people than I know,
Hi
and
to
Chad knows
everybody.
combined.
Well, welcome to Australia. This is basically it. Well, but anyway. Merry
In all
Christmas.
of- In all of our conversations, the thing that it always came back to, whether we were talking about your art or just your life story or just your day-to-day operations, it always comes back to your kids.
It does.
You have 3, and they're adult kids. I say kids; they're adults now.
Always your kids.
But you have 3 children that are on the autism spectrum, and you raised 3 children, and you invented some cool stuff because of that, in my opinion, or at least created it and made it accessible, if not outright invented it. But maybe let's start there. Maybe let's start. Take us a little bit through, like, just how we get to who you are. Like, Spurs was hatched. saved 3 babies before she got out of the hospital, rode a horse home, and then take us to the starting point of your children, of your first child.
Well, the starting point of me, I actually live in the same, well, it was a town when I was born here. It is now a regional city, one of the biggest ports out of Western Australia for mining, for wheat and crops and all the rest. It is also one of the biggest crayfishing cities in Australia. So I grew
Y'all got
up
crawfish?
crayfish. In other words, lobsters.
Oh, big crawfish. I got you. Jumbo crawfish.
We do have a form of crawdads here. We have yabbies and marron. So
That sounds very cosmopolitan, Spurs.
Yeah, they're exactly the same. They just taste like muddy water.
Cooler names for stuff. You have way cooler names for stuff than we do.
She said they just taste like muddy water.
Just like muddy water. What else can I say? Basically, I was born in the same, well, it was a town. Now it's a city of 45,000 souls. So, like I said, biggest regional city that we have here, biggest port city just outside of like Perth. It's only 6 hours down the road. It's just a day trip. We do that every day. And then we have up north, further up, we have Port Hedland, which is the major centre for shipping iron ore and all the rest of it. It's only a 14-hour drive north. Basically, it takes a week to get from the top of my state to the bottom of my state, and to go across to the border of the South Australia or Northern Territory, it takes a good 3 days.
Wow.
We are a mammoth state, so...
I would say...
Yeah.
Is that 3 days flying or driving or riding a kangaroo? How are we traveling?
Well, that's driving, but then again, if we took an emu, well, it'd be roughly about 5 days. If we took the kangaroo, probably about maybe 7 days, because emus outrun kangaroos.
So an emu is the way to go then. You definitely want an emu. What up, Peter Logan?
Everyone wants an emu, even though us Australians did lose a war to the emus.
You lost a war to the emus.
We did. We sadly lost a war to the emus.
Please tell us.
Do tell. Those things outrun bullets, from what I've been told. They really do. But if you hit them with a car, they go poof like a feather pillow, and you don't even know you've hit them because you're looking behind you and you see a turkey running naked behind you.
No worries, that was just me. Naked turkey in the street.
I just pictured Foghorn Leghorn with his numbered feathers. I'll say, boy.
That works.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, I was born here, but I was not raised in this city. I was actually raised roughly 1,500 miles from here, with the closest town being 350 miles away and the closest hospital being 650 miles away.
650. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Drew.
I was raised in the outback of Western Australia on a sheep and cattle station, which, like you guys, is a big ranch and all the rest of it, but it was 1 million square acres of red dirt. We were the shearing shed south of Port Hedland, and we were the final outpost of shearing before wool was actually transported to Fremantle to be transported off to the world for your fashion and everything else. Now, once a year, my family would come up. We would have 6 months of shearers at the station. They would shear, and we had the only dome-shaped roof shearing shed. It was a mammoth shearing shed, and it held 9 shearers. And we also had the top hand shearer of 1975 shear there for 6 months straight. His average of shearing with hand shears per day was roughly 193 sheep. And that's with old-fashioned hand shears, not mechanical.
What?
You got to squeeze those, don't you? Isn't that the squeezer kind? Yeah. Oh my goodness, 193 a day. Was his arm like
was like,
From memory, the
Popeye
dude was roughly about 5'3", and he was built like a brick dunny, so to speak. There we go,
Dunny.
another Australian slang toilet for the toilet.
That's an outhouse, y'all. A dunny.
Yep. An outhouse is a dunny. There you go. I'll give you all the Australian name where we're going.
I'm not going to feel right telling people I live in the
end.
middle of nowhere anymore.
Yeah, 650 miles from the nearest hospital, 350 miles from the nearest town.
The nearest town only had what they call a nursing outpost. So you had basic medical services where you'd take your children to be immunized, and you'd be able to get minor stitches if it was a minor incident. You'd be able to get minor medical help, but nothing major. So if you had, let's say, chopped your leg off, you had to be RFDS, which is our Royal Flying Doctor Service, to one of the biggest major hospitals. Now, we had Mount Newman, which was our closest hospital, and it was still a mining town, so it wasn't a huge hospital, so to speak, but it was a hospital fully equipped for major trauma surgery. Now, our closest hospital to there, our major hospital, was Perth, so that was a good 1,700 kilometres. So translated to miles, yeah, quite a lot. It was a 12-hour drive from home, what I called home, to Perth back in that day. But I grew up on the station with my brother and two older cousins. I was the only girl. Yes, the only girl, but whether I grew up to be a girly girl or a tomboy, that was yet to be discerned. But I can say one thing, I did climb trees with wild feral cats and played with bung arrows and went swimming in the creek, and yeah.
Bung arrows?
Okay, a bung arrow is a parenti lizard, so in other words, a very big lizard. You hear Mick Dundee talk about him. He said you can eat them, but they taste like beep.
Oh, okay. So
we grew up with them basically everywhere out there. Like they're not small either. They can get up to a good 4 to 6 foot, depending on the age of them. But they're a lot of fun. They're not overly tendency to try and eat people, though some do disagree with that. They will chase you. They will run up you if you're like a tree. So if they're chased by a dog, they're going to go for the highest point, and that's you. So luckily, it's only a child.
And that's you. That is amazing.
Basically,
yes.
Yeah, Xena Warrior Princess from Australia, for real.
Absolutely no amenities of the modern world. We didn't even have standard electrical power. We actually had a generator that ran 2 houses. So every night it would be 6 o'clock, the generator would get turned on, and then the generator would go off about 9 o'clock. So it's preserved fuel and all the rest of it. So there was no luxuries of the TV or the video or anything that they had in the major towns or cities. It was bareback. Basically, you were raised to read a book by candlelight, basically, or a kerosene lamp. We even had kerosene fridges, and you would never believe it. In the year 2000, I was cooking out on a station with a wood stove and kerosene fridges. That was in modern era, and I was still using antiquated equipment, but it was a very interesting time, and it did teach us a hell of a lot.
I bet.
Yeah, true country girl.
I bet.
Born and raised country. Basically, growing up out in the outback, I was, as I said, with 3 boys, so it was kind of interesting. We were always out on motorbikes or mustering sheep or cattle or whatever it took to be part of the family, because you weren't left behind even if you were little. My dad used to muster wild horses, and from the time that I was a kid, I think I was about 6 months old when I was thrown on my first wild breaker. My dad saw no point in keeping us from anything dangerous. We were allowed to play with basically everything you can think of. And when you think station life, you can think of just about anything. We had snakes that were constant visitors. And we actually had what they called a humpy out the back, which is a spinifex, which is a really rough grass hut and it had irrigation running around it. That's how we stayed cool in summer. We didn't have the modern kinds of aircon and all the rest of it, so we grew up pretty tough.
Yeah, I'd say.
It sounds like it.
Wow.
That's
We
amazing.
had wild donkeys, wild camels. That was kind of a bit of a fun thing when a little 6-month-old wild camel wandered into our yards with our donkey Jack and the Jill, literally. Jill. Our little baby camel. We have wild camels. So
I did not know you had wild camels out there.
we do. We still have wild camels. So
You know why, Chad? You know why you didn't know?
Because I never been to Australia again.
Because you never been to Australia.
you jump in that spaceship and head over here. You'll have some
I
fun.
know. Well, like you're fully prepared, you know. Society just totally goes to shit, and you're like, I don't really care. I know what to do. I got it. I
Yes,
got
we
this.
have wild dogs over here called dingoes. When I was a child, my father was actually a dogger and a kangarooer because they were classed as feral pests. So my dad used to send me, being the smallest, down through the dingo warrens and in to grab the pups after he had trapped the parents.
Into the dens to grab the pups.
Yeah, we ended up keeping one.
I mean, that's what I would. If I had small children, that's what I would do. Send them into dingo holes to get the
All
pups.
I've heard about dingoes is they eat babies.
Yeah,
all
that's
I've
what I'm
ever
saying.
Yeah.
Not Spurs.
My baby. I don't even know what it's from.
Maybe I was just too tough for them.
If there is a mod in the chat, would you please send just a share to CR Alsip Guitars? Thank you.
But yeah,
Yeah, well,
growing up
you-
in the outback of Western Australia was definitely different. So it gave me an outlook on a life that wasn't based around city and learning in the city. We would have a aeroplane come to deliver our mail once a week, and from the School of the Air, from a little place called Meekatharra School of the Air, we would get a old canvas knapsack. And in that knapsack would have jigsaw puzzles, we would have colouring pages, we would have like old time things to play with, like she'd send finger puppets out. We learnt a lot through that, and we'd be on a two-way radio, or otherwise known as a ham radio, and we'd be talking to our
Walkie-talkie.
teacher over the air. Except for our teacher was 900 mile away. Wow. So we would be talking to our teacher in her office, and she would be talking to us. Now, had we had the technology we have today, which I've worked on stations, I worked as a nanny up in the Kimberleys for a little while, and I had 2 twins and 2 other young children that were learning on this station, and we had face-to-face like this with their teacher. So it was amazing to see the technology in the 30 years since I'd been in that age range to what it became as a modern day learning thing. So we have a lot of, like our School of the Air down here actually does a lot of this sort of stuff now with our students in the outback stations, because a lot of kids are still out there. Their parents don't see the need to send them in until high school. Then they send them off to boarding school in Perth, like generally Aquinas College and all the rest of it. So they get this top layer of education. But School of the Air, there was nothing wrong with it. It was a wonderful learning experience. And to get those packages as a child, even though they were educational, it was a lot of fun. Like the teachers were absolutely amazing. And recently, actually, we just had the 50th anniversary of the Meekatharra School of the Air. So it was a wonderful thing, and I got to get in contact with some of the people that were students when I was a student, and and some of the teachers even. There was only 3 of them still with us, but it was still nice to talk to them. So from there,
You said a ham radio at the time, right?
Ham radio.
You know, it's funny hearing you say that. I spent a couple of years overseas, and my wife and I would talk every Sunday because that's what we could afford. It was the cheapest day. About 30 minutes. And if she wrote me a letter, or I wrote her one, it took exactly 1 week from the day you sent it to get it there. And now, people, my wife and I were laughing about this today, Spurs. You and I talked yesterday in real time, and we're talking in real time right now, and we could see each other. And that
sorry
was,
about that.
you know, that's been about 30 years, you know, a little over 30 years. So about the same thing, you know, it's crazy how much advancement we're able to have. Chad's in Missouri, you're in Australia, and I'm in North Carolina. And we're all in real time having a conversation without any lags or anything. So it's pretty remarkable.
It's 11 a.m. my time, and it's only 10 p.m. your time. So, yeah, it's amazing how much technology has brought us forward. And to even be able to talk to people on the other side of the world is just an amazing feat. Like,
And you don't even look upside down.
Hang on. We can fix
Oh,
that.
see, okay,
Dude.
see, she turned the filter off for a second. You guys could see.
That's awesome.
Man, doesn't all the blood run to your
Stand
head?
upside down.
Don't you
Yeah,
just
no,
spend
man.
all day dizzy because you're upside down?
All,
Well,
all the blood
how do
rushing to
we
your
know that I'm
head.
upside down and you guys aren't upside down?
Maybe
Well,
we
that's
could
true.
be.
Well, all the pictures
be.
show that Australia's on the bottom part of the planet. But I guess if you go back far enough, what is up and what is down, right? Because it's round. So, damn
Exactly.
Americans,
Floating
we
in
always think
space,
we're on
I mean.
top.
Maybe
Space.
we're always all falling over sideways, really, and we don't really realize it.
Right? That very
We're
well
just
could
hurtling
be.
through space, a few million miles an hour.
That we are. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to actually be able to use this technology, and for more than one reason, like to see you guys and to be able to watch what you guys are doing in real time. Like Chad, I pop in at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're carving away. You know, I pop in at 3 o'clock in the morning and you could be sanding a darn guitar, or you could be doing the frets or whatever, as long as it's not a 1975 guitar with those noisy nickel frets.
Yes.
Terrible.
Those were something, weren't they?
They were terrible. They were really, really squeaky. But yeah,
Oh,
it is
man.
amazing, the technology, and to be able to be where we all are and on the one platform. And as I say to everyone, I say it's not just about seeing people and being able to communicate with people. It's being able to learn things off of people, like sitting here listening to Gin talk about what he's doing with woodwork, and Chad, you talking about bits on the cut saw bits and all the rest of it. It's actually quite interesting, and you guys don't gatekeep your information, which is really great. Like, you'll come across a lot of people and they'll say, hey, I'm not going to tell you how I'm doing this because I don't want you to know. So it's kind of interesting, and it's a refreshing thing to see people actually sharing their information instead of being those gatekeepers, because guess what? Once you're gone, you can't take that information with you, so why not leave it for somebody else to use?
Enrich someone
100%.
else's life while you can.
Exactly. Exactly.
100%.
So we've got one of those too, see?
I made a special sign just for statements like that.
I was gonna be a smartass and bite this thing, but it's covered in cedar dust, and that'd be bad.
Well, it ought to be delicious then.
Almost did it. It smells
Cedar
like
dust?
it should be.
Well, that could be kind of interesting. Well,
So-
it would give a different idea to cottonmouth, and wouldn't it? It would be woodmouth or sawdust mouth.
I have both of them in them. That'd be terrible.
So Spurs, among all the amazing things that you do that we'll talk about, your art is incredible. I'm really a fan. I really am a fan of your art. Hey, to Quinn. No worries. Just always glad to have you here. But 24 years ago, you had a child, no money, things are tight. You kind of, like you always, in a way, always been on your own. Even when you were with your family, you were the only girl. So there's a lot of ways that you were kind of always on your own. So you find yourself with a child. You've been raised by wolves in the outback, and now you're a mama wolf. And take us from there. This seamstress thing you were talking about.
Okay, well, it all started back in in the September of 2001, I had my first child. We had summer. Summer was fine. Baby didn't need a hell of a lot of clothes. Baby was fine wearing a singlet and a nappy and diaper and a little tank top thing for everyone over there. And then winter came. It was the wettest winter that we had in 20 years. It was terrible. Couldn't get anything dry, was washing what clothes I had. My grandparents actually were in America visiting my great-grandma. I rang my grandma at 2:15 in the morning, American time. And I said to her, Gran, I'm stealing your sewing machine, I'm stealing your overlocker, and I'm stealing your pattern and your material. Well, by the time she came home, I knew how to use that overlocker, I knew how to use the sewing machine, I knew how to cut a pattern. And I also learned how to draw my own patterns, which was wonderful. So it was a lot of inspiration from my grandma, watching her over the years. She dressed porcelain dolls because my grandma was a porcelain doll artist. And so she had actually dressed a hell of a lot of dolls over time. I'd watched and I learned stuff from that. But when this winter came, it was unbelievable. Like days and days and days. We had not a dry day. We didn't have a dryer for a start, of course, because Australians, we hang our clothes outside because we have a hell of a lot of sunshine, as you most probably know. And mostly it's windy and it's always warm. But this year we couldn't get anything dry. So I actually started out and I grabbed this book. This is an Enid Gilchrist baby book. Now these patterns aren't patterns. They are all written in measurements in inches and yards and all the rest. So basically you draw your pattern out from these. So basically this is what it'll give you, and that's a sleeve.
Okay.
And then you draw your pattern from that using a ruler and a S-curve and all the rest of it. So I learned how to draw patterns. And then from there, I went on to make my daughter a wardrobe full of clothes right the way till she was about 16. Hoping that she would be a girly girl. My grandparents always hoped she would be a girly girl. They didn't get the girly girl. I hate to tell them. They got a wild child who was like a mom, fell in love with horses and was quite happily running in overalls and a shirt and shorts. She really did not take after the girly girl side. Now, officially, when I made all of that stuff, I thought, yep, she'll have an outfit all the way through school and all the rest. Well, when she turned out not to want to wear dresses, I had a friend of mine call through and she was looking through everything I'd made for my child. And she said to me, do you think you could make me a ball gown to wear to a ball? That's how I got into adult dressmaking. I said to her, can I think of you as a really big child? Because I had no idea how to dress an adult. I was
think of you as a big
jeans
child.
and a shirt, so it was kind of. So the first ever ball dress I made was back in 2005, and from there I went on to making wedding dresses and doing all alterations to wedding dresses and clothing. From that point on, I went on to master sewing and making patterns and all the rest of it, and then my son was born. Now, my son was my first one diagnosed with autism. He was a bit harder. He was a silent child. He didn't speak. He could verbally cry. He could verbally grunt, groan, do all the rest of the normal childhood things. But when it came to probably about 9 months, when kids are normally saying mum and dad, and he couldn't speak. He could mouth words perfectly. He could mouth them, but he had no vocal stimulation behind it. From then, it became a challenge to teach a child who we also found out was 75% deaf in his right ear and only had 25% hearing in that ear, and then in his other ear, he only had 35% hearing. So we sat there and we contemplated on what we were going to do and how we were going to teach this child. We have a special school in the city that everyone said, oh, he will need to go to special school. You can guarantee and you can bet your bottom dollar I looked at every one of those people and said, no way. no way. My boy will go through mainstream education. Well, my boy did go through mainstream education and he graduated 2 years ago. He graduated with quiet honours of being the only person with a disability in that whole school year to graduate. And he left school. He was the first one called across the stage because of his name and how close it is to the beginning of the alphabet. But when they got to call him, they didn't have their diplomas ready. So he, being an autistic child, is standing in the middle of the stage with one of his teachers, absolutely stock still. Like, he could not move, he could not do anything. And he just sort of stood there, and his teacher leans over to him and goes, "Are you right, mate?" And he just turns around and goes and nods his head and waited very patiently. And then as his diploma got handed to him, he actually shook his teacher's hand for the first time ever, which was wonderful to see.
Yes.
Now, we talk about children with autism not having great sensory skills and all the rest of it, and fine motor skills are totally shocking, trying to get them to pinch pegs and all the rest of the stuff that they do in occupational therapy was very hard. So from that, I developed a bit of a range that I was going to help him with and help him actually be able to communicate with me and be able to communicate with others. Now, when he turned 5, we sent him off to normal kindergarten, and he was basically put into a corner and said, just play. They didn't want to teach him. They didn't want to do a hell of a lot with him. They just wanted him to sit away and play, which was very hard because this was a child that still has to learn how to function in society. He still has to be a coping member of society, whether he was not able to hear, whether he was not able to talk, he's still going to have to function in today's society and actually become a thriving member. And I refuse to let my child be left in a corner. I'm very vocal on that, and I refuse to let the teacher get away with it. So hence I started developing the range a lot more, and I came up with let me just grab it. A whiteboard marker, plain and simple. Plain and simple whiteboard dry erase marker. And then there was this, which is all done on felt. So basically it's got a PUL over top of it, which is a type of plastic, but it is BPA free. So we use this, and he learned how to basically, this is going to be backwards and very hard for me to do, but basically it writes on it and then it wipes straight off. So he didn't have to waste 555 billion trees to try and learn how to write. So from that range, which was the basic printing, so you've got your upper and your lowercase letters. So from basic printing, we went on to do our maths. So this was a addition. So you'd write a number in the middle and you would add the outside numbers right the way through to 12 onto that number. It even comes with instructions because not all of us are the smartest cookies in the cookie jar, you know. But I did make instructions with them because also people look at me and go, how does that work? It's felt. And I'm like, it's got a layer over top of it, a special layer. So we did that. We had our subtraction and we had our multiplication. Oops, wrong one. Where is it? There it is. So we did that and then we moved on. Then it became time to go to normal grade school. Now, my son hated pencils, and I mean he hated pencils. So, hence, this is similar to the first one I developed. It's a road sign with a crocodile. My son was reptile and animal based. He loved animals and reptiles. So it was a pencil topper for your normal pencil. He carded one of these things right up until year 11. And one of the kids made a bit of fun of him, and he turned around and said, "Hey, that's my writing, buddy. You leave me alone." So he, in the end, went on to fully learn how to write. He actually has the neatest handwriting, even if it is a serial handwriting, but he half prints and half running, right? So, or cursive writing. So he was basically able to complete school without all the problems of everything that should have got him down, everything that should have stood in his way did not stand in his way. And he refused to give up, which was more the thing. He refused to give up. Like, he was told so often, you're never going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do this. Now, my son, his major when he wanted to leave school was carpentry and woodwork. He wanted to be a cabinet maker. So he went through what they call the STEPS program, which was to train him in being able to do that. He went for his pre-apprenticeship, and the boss at the business that he went for turned around and said, you can't do that because you're autistic. My son looked at his boss and he said, fine, I will leave your establishment. And he did. He now works at McDonald's, which is kind of fine, but he is actually going to go through what we call the ATC, which is the Apprenticeship and Training Centre. And he is going to get that apprenticeship, and he is going to be what he wants to be, because he refuses to let anyone pull him down. Unfortunately, even in today's society, they do still see children with disabilities or adults with disabilities as somebody who cannot be productive in society. I looked at his boss. I have happened to know his boss from the time I was a child. And I walked up to him and I went, so you won't employ a neurospicy person, huh? And he looked at me and he went, no. And I turned around and said, that's fine. I said, because you've had one working for you for about 15 years. One of the guys that I know that works for him is autistic, but he never was diagnosed until he was older. So as soon as my son got the diagnosis, it basically could have gone one of two ways. And even now, it still goes the way of people looking at them and going, well, we have a diagnosis that you're autistic. You're not going to be able to handle the pressure of the job. No one knows what these kids are going to be able to handle in their life. My granddad used to say it's the next evolution, and he was pretty well much darn right, because my son and my daughter both have eidetic memories. They can remember everything. Sometimes they can't write it down, but they do actually have eidetic memories, much like their mum. They have a photographic memory. So they'll be able to sit there and recall a conversation from 10 years ago and not even have a worry about it. Dakota met up with one of her teachers from early on in her education, probably about year 2, and her particular teacher had had a conversation with her, and she went back on what she said, and my daughter said, no. She said, on the 2nd of June, on this date, you said this. And the teacher was like, and she goes, I've got proof. You wrote it down in my English book. But my daughter remembered the conversation. Now, my daughter was a bit different. She was more easy to raise than my son. My daughter was the one that at 9 months old was basically choosing her own clothes, dressing herself, knew how to do everything, knew how to basically read a book. She would be constantly on my lap listening to me read. And one day we thought, oh, it's just muscle memory of reading a book.
Sure.
We were wrong. She picked up a book that we had never read to her, and she was reading word for word from the book. And I sat there and went, this is not normal. Why are you doing this? This is not normal. You're too young to be reading a book at 2 years old. From there, she read just about every book I had in my library. And yes, I did have an original set of encyclopedias. Encyclopedia Britannica, to be precise. So my child decided that she was going to read encyclopedias.
Were they in Australian, Spurs? Were they written in Australian?
English. I'm sure that they were definitely written in the Queen's English, because we are still part of the Commonwealth. So we are still under the English monarch, which a lot of people get a bit surprised when Australians say we are still under the monarchy of the royal rule. So, but yeah, she was reading constantly. Like, we left her to it and said, right, if you want to read it, you read it. So she read everything and looked at pictures. Sometimes I used to think, oh my God, there's words in there that I can't even pronounce, so she's never going to be able to. but we taught phonetics, like the they don't teach that in school anymore. Why? It's helped children read forever.
Because of Chad. It's Chad's fault.
I did that.
Yeah. Like we learnt phonetics, and when my children went to school, they said we don't do phonetics anymore, and I'm like, are you crazy? Phonetics is what gives you your basic spelling and your basic understanding of words, even if they do spell tissue, Tissshoo, tissue. So they were correct in a way, but it was just not spelled correct for English. But anyway. So the education system is very interesting.
It sounds like it wasn't a straight path. You had to kind of figure some things out along the way.
It was a path of me sitting in offices. Hey, don't get me wrong, I hated school. I spent most of my schooling years when I had to come down to the city staring out the window at the fence, going, what's going on outside? Because I did not want to be shoved into a classroom. I, as you know, grew up on 1 million square acres, red dirt with all of that to run. So barefooted or whatever, I tell you, I used to get home from school, my shoes used to come off. I don't think I even made it home. As soon as the bell rang, I was out of school and my shoes were off and I was heading home. So it was kind of a very interesting time. So I look back at it and I think, well, most of my education, I actually had great teachers. My year 1 teacher put a desk outside the classroom and she would just hand me my work out the window, but she'd have the window open and she would be watching if I disappeared somewhere. And normally it would be to bring a lizard or something that was coming along the pathway, or a bug of some description. And I think I nearly gave my year 2 teacher a heart attack when I picked up a snake and said, hey, what do you want me to do with it? And she was like, she went white. And I went, okay, are you scared of snakes? Well, the place that I live in, the actual suburb that I live in, is actually, in Indigenous wording, the place of many snakes. So it was one of those things that I looked at and went, okay, the teacher's scared of snakes. It was only a little Stimson's python. It was fine. It's non-venomous. We don't have poisonous snakes in Australia. We have venomous and non-venomous snakes. But just to settle that one for everyone, we have venomous and non-venomous snakes.
Y'all are Spurs in the big box now? A minute ago, it was on my end. It was weird, but can y'all see and hear Spurs in the big box? Okay, cool. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Spurs.
That's okay.
I'm just making sure everybody can see you.
Reading somebody else down here grew up with snakes like boas and pythons. Yeah, we grew up with great big, huge olive pythons out bush and king browns, eastern brown snakes, death adders. You name it. We've grown up with it. We have snakes here in Australia that we literally say, basically, if you get bitten by one and you're out in the outback, put your head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye because you got 15 minutes. So they're not great to handle. It's sort of like stay away from them if you can, or avoid trying to pick them up, unlike me.
What kind of snake is that?
That's the death adder, or we have the death adder, which is, he's only a little snake. He's tiny, but he has got deadly things. But we have the taipan, which is the world's #1 venomous snake, otherwise known as the fierce snake, as you hear my good old mate Steve Irwin, who's, crikey, it's a snake. It's a taipan. So we have them in the outback. Generally, they are not one that likes to come into where people dwell. They sort of try and stay away from you, so you stay away from them, you know. But growing up and all the rest here, it's kind of fun.
So what did Stingrays have against Steve Irwin?
Stingrays have a lot against a lot of people in a lot of different countries. Like, have you ever watched...
What's their beef?
I don't know. I really don't know. But if you've ever watched Jeremy Wade and he catches a stingray and he talks about stingrays stinging people and pulling them down, well, stingrays, I think it's more of a fear response. They will just get a bit scared of you. They don't want to be touched. They don't want to be handled. And their instant reaction is to tail, where they have their main defense weapon. They don't have a mouth that they can bite you with. That's on the underside of them. So their tail can do a 360 upside down, basically, and just give you a nice little. But then don't try and pull it out. Basically, don't try and pull it out. Go to the hospital. Be the wise person. Go to the hospital instead of trying to push it straight through and then shoving betadine or a bit of whiskey or something on it. Don't do that. That's not advice.
Well, I was taught as a kid growing up on the Gulf Coast, if we were crabbing or gigging flounder or whatever we were doing, to drag your feet. You wore shoes, first of all, and then you drug your feet on the bottom. And then that way it would stir up the bottom and the stingrays would swim away before you ever got to them. Made it harder to catch flounder, though.
Yeah, it generally does. But doing that here in Australia, if you hit a weed bank, you're more than likely to hit a cobbler. Which they have spikes that grow out of their heads. And, hey, they sting like hell.
Yeah, you don't want to drag your feet in Australia.
Or a happy moments fish which stings you and you get hypercolored dreams for a week.
Hyper-colored dreams for a week. I think Chad has an aquarium full of those.
I'll try that one, but everything else, I've heard that everything in Australia is trying to kill you, and I'm really starting to believe this the longer you speak.
Including Spurs.
I might try that hyper.
Everything here does try to kill you. We have the cutest possums. Have you seen our possums? They have big eyes and this really ringed tail, and they're kind of cute.
Yes, I want one. Don't tell Awesome I said that. She'll be really offended. But you know, we have lots of different animals here that are not trying to unalive everybody. We have some of the most unique species of animals, actually, like the bilby and the numbat and all the rest of those. So, and the quolls, and the smiley little quokkas. They're cute. They don't try and eat you. They're not trying to eat you.
But yeah, no, we have an even ratio, I would say. Like we have kangaroo mice and all the rest of it, and they're little tiny mice, and they look like a kangaroo and they hop like a kangaroo. But not everything is deadly here in Australia. It's more the bigger things that you can actually see that are trying to unalive you. At least you can see what's trying to unalive you. Unlike chicks with Lyme disease, and we don't have that.
Johnny Ray's asking about Vegemite.
Yeah, that's what I was just reading.
Oh my goodness. Okay, what was Vegemite? Where are we? Do you eat Vegemite? Yuck. Okay, Vegemite, now that's a story in itself. Now Vegemite is actually the byproduct of actually brewing beer. We start our children on the yeast of brewing beer from the time they are about 3 months old.
Professionals.
But basically it is actually a survival product because of how high it is in vitamin B and all the rest of it. We actually send it with our troops when they go overseas. It goes in their survival kits because it is nutritious enough to keep you, basically, if you've got nothing else and you've got Vegemite, you can eat Vegemite and it will keep you going for days. It doesn't have the sugar content that a lot of other things do. Have I ever been bitten by a snake? Yes, I have.
Did you bite it back?
No, I did not bite it back, but I did take it home.
Of course you did, Spurs. Did you make friends with it and take it? Did it go to school too?
It had been attacked by a cat, and I felt sorry for it, so I brought it home. It was only a python, so it was non-venomous. But yes, I have brought home a snake. I have actually even had snakes in my house. So basically, out of safety and everything else that goes with it, you do generally try and call a snake handler that is trained to handle snakes. But when you've grown up out bush and you've been taught how to handle snakes by people, and you realize that you can do it, and most of the time you just try, and if they're only a little one, you'll put a container over it, slide a bit of paper under it, and basically do what you do with a spider. Like, not everything.
Now, see, I can handle snakes. I used to have a lot of really big snakes. I even had venomous snakes at one point. But if you give me a spider the size of my pinky nail, I'm going to scream and run the other way. It's ridiculous. Snakes don't bother me. Spiders, hell no.
Oh, spiders used to bother me until I became a mum. And a single mum at that. And I had a child in a pram, and one of our lovely huntsmans dropped on the actual pram, and my kid was in there. It was the spider or the kid. It was a toss-up of which one I was going to throw first.
Oh, my goodness.
I could have just left the pram there and walked away, but I did not. I actually flicked her blanket, and the spider went one way and we quickly went the other way. But after that, I actually went through a desensitizing to be able to handle a situation like that myself, because I really did not like the 8-legged hairy things with eyes that look in a million different directions at once.
You know, I tried to break my fear by getting a tarantula. And I did with that tarantula. I was cool with it. I was still a little nervous. But that was literally, it did not work with everything and the other spiders, like whatsoever. I'm a little braver now that I have a kid and I have to be like dad, but oh God, on the inside I'm freaking out.
I'm still the same. I'm still the same. Like, I will look at them, I will assess the risk, spot the danger, assess the risk, and generally get out of there. But if it's something that I don't foresee is going to be needing to be unalived, I will remove it. Like, I would rather remove one of our spiders rather than anything else. Like, most of the spiders here are basically the only time that you'll unalive from one of them is if you're allergic to the venom.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, they are generally pretty neutral, and they don't really want to bite you. They just want somewhere to live. And our houses are perfect for living in. It's too hot outside. We've all got air conditioning these days.
Yeah.
Well, Chad's like 4 foot tall, so a tarantula looks down on him. So I can understand why. You know,
I got carried off by one once when I was a kid.
Like in that Harry Potter show.
Yes.
That will do it.
Oh,
Spurs, you started being an artist at a very young age, and then you were not an artist for 20. Well, you were still an artist, but you weren't practicing art for about 20 years. And to my understanding, trauma made you start drawing hands and eyes again. So maybe you could take us through a little bit of that journey. You're doing art, your kids came, that kind of put a slowdown on the art career.
It did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, having my first child, I was still pregnant while I was teaching. I actually taught teenagers how to paint ceramics, like plates and all the rest of it. I taught them how to do that. I taught them how to do pottery. From there, I think I was about 8.5 months pregnant when I said, okay, I'm going to have to pass this on and say I can't do this for now, because there was no way I was doing it with a small baby. You know, being a first-time mum, I wasn't sure whether I would be able to keep up with these children, and they were coming out from like our boarding school where parents would send their kids from the stations and all the rest of it. They send them down to boarding school here as well. So I cancelled the classes, and a week later I had a baby. And then for the next 20 years I was a mum, and I was concentrating mostly on dressmaking and making my wonderful felt boards and all the rest of it for the kids. And then 2021 decided to be a year that I decided I could not put up with the life I was living with my ex-partner, and I decided to say enough's enough. I need to discover who I am for me, and it's time for you to go. So during this process, it turned a bit ugly, as you can well and truly imagine. We're not going to go back over that because that's not one that really needs to be discussed on TikTok. But in that time, I picked up a pencil and a piece of paper just to try and relieve some stress. I didn't care what I was drawing. I think the first thing that I picked up and I did was an eye. I looked at my son and thought, I love your eyes. I'm going to draw them. So I did. So I picked it up and I decided that from there, like I could draw when I was way back young, I could draw cartoon characters and all the rest of it. I hadn't drawn them in 20 years. And I didn't want to go back to drawing that style. And I looked at what was around and I thought, well, I haven't tried realism. So I'm going to conquer realism. Now, a few years on, I throw a bit of realism with a bit of the fae culture and all the rest of it. And I have fairies coming everywhere. So basically my story behind it was through the trauma of dealing with a breakup and a situation that was just not very pleasant, and still dealing with PTSD as you do when you are a survivor of a lot of different behaviours, and topping it off to find your mum deceased at a young age of 56 because she had early onset dementia and other medical issues that made it very difficult. So going through all of that, I needed some sort of release, and to actually sit there and to be able to draw was a way that I could release the anxiety. Like, as you're drawing, you're breathing, and as you're breathing, you're actually healing. So through art, I've actually healed, and it's been such a wonderful adventure. I've met so many wonderful people through this actual healing journey and growing journey, and finding out who I am for me instead of who I am as a mom, who I was as a wife, and all the rest of it, who I've always been, the person that was there for everybody else. I actually got time to discover who I was. And deep down inside, I got to look at things, and I went into drawing real humans, which, although be it is fun, it wasn't my passion. My passion is sitting there and drawing from my own mind and drawing fey beings, so to speak, like things that everyone, like if you look at Irish culture, they lurk in the side of the Irish cultures and all the rest of it, but no one can put a face to it or a name to it. I like drawing that.
Sure.
That brings me alive.
Straight from your head. I completely appreciate that.
Exactly.
Chad and I, hey Goopy, Chad and I have talked about that a lot, and you and I have talked about that as well, Spurs. Hell, Jake and I have talked about that over at CR Alsa, where, you know, he does custom guitars, and I don't. I build what I build. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's just two different things, and it's cool. You know, I built custom furniture for a lot of years, and those were fun projects sometimes, but building something somebody else wants, or drawing or painting or creating something somebody else wants, is a totally different ball game. So I'm with you on that, Spurs.
It most certainly is, and it is a therapeutic release as well. Like the serotonin that you get from actually doing something, and at the end of the day, okay, you might not think it's great, but then you go back and look 6 months later and go, hey, it really wasn't that bad, but I have improved. Like I can look back at my work from 2021 and go, there was a lot of improvement needed. And now 2024 has seen me only produce 3 finished artworks, which is fine. That's perfectly fine, because I took my time. My New Year's resolution was actually to take the art world by storm in 2024. I think I did that. Like from where I was a year ago. This is my 3rd year on TikTok. When I first started, there was maybe 4 or 5 artists that I would see on lives and all the rest of it, and their lives were dead. Like it didn't have anyone in them. But now 3 years on, we have an art community that is absolutely wonderful, that you can just about scroll every day and come across 15, 20, 30 different artists that are doing all different styles of art, whether it be marker, whether it be painting, whether it be charcoal, whether it be pottery, woodworking, carving, or whatever. Even candle making and soap making is an art all of its own. I can tell you because I did not pass candle making.
And we get to hang out with all those people. It's so awesome.
Yes. Aaron Hammonds is in the chat right now, and he was on last week. I know you and Aaron are close. I know y'all are good friends. And Aaron is one of those amazing artists and amazing human beings that out there roaming around.
I have a totally off-subject comment I need to make to somebody in the thing. Goopy, happy 1 year plus, dude. I love you, homie.
Goop! Good job, Goopster.
We love you, dude.
We were all there at the start of that journey, or close on the start of that journey, and
single
so proud
digits. Yes.
Single digits. And now
Aaron,
you're 365 plus, and you're still going strong.
Yes, when I met Goopy, he was in
dude.
single digits, and he is still rolling.
I guess it wasn't completely off subject because we were talking about all the awesome artists that we get to see and hang out with, and Goopy is absolutely one of those. And we're about to come up on the year marker of knowing Goopy because he again was in the single digits.
Yep,
we definitely
absolutely.
Like if it hadn't have been for a 3 a.m. live on my time and Gin stumbling into that, I never would have met you guys. You stumbled into the crazy world of Australia. How do you feel?
I dig your artwork, Spurs. I dig what you do. And then once I got to know you, well, I say get to know you. As I started to learn more about you, the more I liked you. And then you became a mod, and from there on, it's just been we're pals. That's my friend Spurs.
It's been a wonderful year and a bit.
Yes. And the thing about it is that community you were talking about, it really is a wonderful thing. The idea of the technology advancing to the point where we can have this conversation in real time with video cameras from all over the world is really incredible. And I do believe that if we use it the right way, we can help each other. We can literally make a difference in each other's lives. And I've seen it happen, and it's really, really cool thing. And you are instrumental in that, Spurs. You are a connection to multiple communities on this platform.
I always try and be as diverse as possible. Like, I don't like to say, hey, I'm only going to visit a woodworker, or I'm only going to visit a painter, or I'm going to go to all of your lives. I'm going to drop a hey, drop a share, drop a repost, and all the rest of it. You're just going to have to put up with it because that's me. And even if I see your posts and I think that is absolutely awesome and I think it needs to be seen, then you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be shared, it's going to be reposted, there's going to be a comment, there's going to be a like. And sometimes I'll go back and do it 2 or 3 times. So, it's part of the community. It's growing a community that is all worth it. Like, it's not just a community, actually. Sometimes it's more like a family. See, people that aren't blood sometimes have popped into our lives and become that part of the family.
Yes.
Like, I've got family from all over the world. And, if you ever get to Australia, you can always look me up. I'll generally show you around. I'll take you to some pretty cool places.
I wouldn't come to Australia without having you, so that, things wouldn't get me. I'm kidding.
Spurs.
Oh, no.
We normally don't bring people up, Spurs, but a friend of yours called me today and requested to pop in and say hi to you. And just so y'all out there in the audience know, I did call Spurs and ask permission before, even with Jake, even the great Jake Willoughby, I called Spurs and asked permission first. So
it's all right. I didn't. It was a last minute thing. I honestly didn't know you were going to be on, Spurs, and I have a bunch of family here, and we were playing Monopoly. But I quit the game so I could come down here and take a minute to talk to my 3 favorite people on this earth. So I wanted to tell you, I'm not going to take up a lot of time, okay, because I know this is your night. But I wanted to tell you, I wanted to thank you because you have been an inspiration for me since I've met you. You're so kind to me, and you spend extra time helping mod my stuff, and I'm thankful to know you. So I want to tell you Merry Christmas and thank you for being the special person you are.
Merry Christmas, Jake, and you're most welcome. Anytime.
Okay. And then, not to get off of you, but that guy up there with that nasty hat on that says something about Allsip on it, I want to tell him Merry Christmas and thank you as well.
Merry
He goes
Christmas,
above and beyond, and you guys are so incredible, all of you. Even that alien there next to him with the big
this dude,
the big beard. I can't thank him
I love
enough
you too,
either,
Jake.
man. Yeah, man.
Mwah.
And just for you, Chad, Merry Christmas.
No! Thank you, Jake.
Yeah,
I love you, dude.
yeah, I love you
I wish
guys
I had
too.
mine
So
right here, but I don't.
yeah,
Hey, Jake.
I got one on you.
you're
got
gonna
me.
have to set up a hotline, man, because people are coming in my live when I'm working on guitars, and there's several. Spurs can tell you several a night asking for custom guitars, and I keep telling them you need to get in touch with Jake.
Yeah,
So
well, see, but Spurs right over there. She's my when we're online. She's like my online secretary, right? She does all. So yeah, so
I
but
multitask really well.
Merry
yeah,
Christmas,
you
Steve.
do actually. I don't. So, but I'm not going to stay on here and take up your time. But I did want to come. This is a special occasion, and I want you to know that I'm thankful for everything you do, Spurs.
Thank you.
So I hope you had a
Damn,
Merry
Jake.
Christmas, and I hope all of you guys have a Merry Christmas. Here, I'll do a half a heart. I can't do. I'm holding the phone. You like that, huh? Look,
Hey, Jake.
got a heart.
Hey, Jake.
What?
It's coming together, buddy.
Look at that. Look at that. Awesome.
It's a sexy piece
Awesome.
We're getting there.
Heck yeah,
You're-
man.
Your pickups are in there. I
Heck
just gotta
yeah.
wire them in.
Yeah. It's coming along.
Spurs has been helping.
Oh
You know
yeah?
how many screws I've watched him actually snap the heads off trying to get that stuff
I broke
into that
5 screws off trying to screw that thing in.
You put some wax on them.
Yeah, all that.
damn hardwood.
That birch is hard.
Oh man. Yeah.
Damn
Yeah.
hardwood.
Yeah. So all right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get off here. Let you get back to you, Spurs, because you deserve it.
Hey, go win some Monopoly money, man, and then send
gonna-
it to us. We can
I'm gonna-
use it.
I'm gonna try, you guys, and I'm sorry I had to miss tonight, but I got
No worries,
two,
man.
I got 2 boys in from Michigan, and my daughter's here, and I don't get to see them
Nice.
very often. So
That's
Well-
okay. You can catch me on the Y-tube a bit later.
I will definitely do that. So
Enjoy your family being in town. It was good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
you guys too. Much love to you guys. So
Y'all
Big love to you, Jake.
look for more appearances from Jake Willoughby of CR Alsip Guitars. He's going to be one of the
What?
reoccurring guests on the Gin Project. So look for more
Yeah.
appearances by this guy. If we
That's
don't piss
scary,
him
huh?
off.
that's scary. So all right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later, man.
See you, brother. Take care,
Take
man.
it easy, brother.
Bye.
Good dude right there.
Absolutely
He,
wonderful fella. And if you need a custom-made guitar, go and see him.
Yes, he called me today and said that he would like to come up and say a word for Spurs. Because Spurs does help a lot. She's been a tremendous help with my flow states, and probably wouldn't be able to do them, some of them, had she not been around. And she does a similar thing for Jake. So not only is Spurs creating amazing art and wrangling kangaroos and emus and goats and cows and horses, and babysitting snakes and tarantulas and petting white sharks. She also mods for for people on this platform.
Mod for a few people. I think
All at
we're
the same
for
time.
about 15.
Luckily,
Well,
some of us are simpletons, so it's really easy.
Some are simple, some aren't simple. I can say that. There are some that I do mod for, that it does get it gets very exciting, and there's a lot of using my Spurs to say see you later.
Heard
Generally,
that.
they get the warning first. They get the nice, if you're going to act like a dick, please exit stage left and take your bow. But
Yes.
sometimes they don't get that hint, so they get the actual Spurs that says see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
There's also a Spurs that is doing a logo design. Am I allowed to talk about that a little bit?
You can talk
He's
about
in the chat bragging about you right now.
Yes, okay. It's coming along, but I don't have it in my actual room with me. I actually have got that one sitting in a special place because it's actually nearly finished. So I'm
What are
waiting
you working
to,
on, Spurs? What is it that you're working
I'm
on? Do
working
tell.
on. I'm not really working on anything at the moment, but
No, I mean
the first piece that I actually framed.
Oh, that's cool. What I was referring to is she is working on the logo for Art for Autism, y'all. Pro bono.
So
The turtle is dope.
Yes.
The turtle was one of my first ever pieces that I took the time to actually practice realism and actually did a full piece instead of just doing eyes or hands or parts of different things like a head or an ear or whatever. I actually put a whole piece together and went, and that's the first piece, and I actually framed it. So
Spurs aren't hands and eyes to a lot of artists the most difficult thing to render?
Yeah, they are. They are. With
So
eyes,
you started
it's
with
very
that.
difficult. Yeah. I jump feet first into most things I do.
Do you, just to practice your handwriting, do you do that riding a horse?
No, but I have been going on
Chad got it.
conversations while I'm on a horse.
Chad got it, y'all.
From the saddle.
The alien is starting to get the context, y'all. I know that he's been here a while now. He is starting to get the context of human jokes. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's the little intricate parts of you Earthlings confuse me sometimes.
That's all right, Chad, because I'm 3 suns over from you and to the left, and go past that last moon and then turn right on the hanging star. I'm right about there.
Flash would like to know if you keep your art supplies in a pouch.
Kangaroo pouch.
Not generally. I keep them outside on my back table where I'm normally arting, but at the moment you're all in my sewing room. I have neighbours and it's Christmas time and they are very noisy. We don't want to be out there listening to that.
Is that the emus that you're talking about? The emus? And
No, they're typical Aussie larrikins.
Aussie larrikins. Whoa.
An Aussie larrikin.
That sounds
they hit
bad.
The alcohol pretty early in the morning, so it gets pretty wild Christmas time and New Year's around here. So I do live in a quiet suburb.
It's probably not that loud. She's just used to living a million miles away from anything whatsoever. So like, if there's just a little bit of noise, she's like, "Oh my God, this is unacceptable."
Oh, it's all right. I just turn up my music and I don't hear a darn thing. They hear me, but I don't hear them.
Well, you said that 2024 you were going to focus on art, and I think it's fair to say that you did that. Would you care to share any of the art that you created? You said you created 3 pieces this year. Would you care to share any of that with us? And we'll go ahead and get these out of the way. Do you do commissions? And why not? And
Well, generally, no, I don't do commissions. Generally, I draw from my heart. If it's something that I can actually get behind, then maybe I might take on a commission. But generally, it is drawing from my own heart and not something that I overly take on. Though next year we may be thinking about some print releases, maybe even the beginnings of a colouring book.
Yes, a Spurs coloring book, y'all, and prints.
So this was the first piece I completed for the 2024 season.
Oh my goodness. What is the
Although-
medium there, Spurs?
That is actually just a ballet, sort of a young girl depicting Tinkerbell in a ballet.
No, I'm sorry. Pencil or pen, or I'm sorry, I said that wrong.
Pencil. This was graphite, fully graphite. That was. See, I've been working in graphite since 2021, so I was comfortable with graphite. So this is where the start of the year started. Then I decided to take a turn, and I went for colored pencil.
Oh my goodness, Chad,
That was
dude, look
my
at the eyes,
first
man.
color
Come on,
piece.
bro. Come on. Unbelievable.
I had never worked with colored pencil in my life. And I was terrified, to say the least. And I did it all on live, and I was like, oh my God,
So
someone's going to come
gorgeous.
in and say, you're doing that wrong, and you're doing this wrong.
You tell him to
But-
jump in a lake.
But
That is
the
so
thing
good,
being,
Spurs.
most
Gosh.
of the people that came in were surprised that I could get colored pencil to look like watercolor. And I found my niche. I found my niche with using pencil to look like a watercolor piece, and then I decided we'd take it one step further. So I did that and came up with my next piece, which is this piece.
Oh,
Those eyes, though.
Spurs, you're
Can we get a
amazing.
close up of the eyes, Spurs?
Yes.
I don't know how close it will go.
Right there.
Oh my
Perfect.
god, right there's perfect, Spurs. Oh
Yo.
my goodness,
Mm-mm-mm.
So
unbelievable.
from that,
That's
I
what's
then
up.
started working with the pastels for the background. Soft pastel pencils. So I decided
Yeah.
to take a bit of a turn and a bit of a detour and add extra, and continued working with it. Then I
Sure.
started working on, well, I ended the year actually working last year on this piece. This was a 287-hour piece. I started with
Oh, that is the dopest. Oh my god, it's so cool.
I don't know whether we hit the end of it. So I started working with that, but when we close up and we go in on details, there are all sorts of little details hiding actually in this piece.
Mm-hmm.
So
Amazing.
basically that's where I went to at the end of last year. I was asked actually to bring out my dark side. So I brought my dark side in the only way that I knew how to actually bring my dark side. And I looked at, I'm pagan, so I looked at my pagan roots and went back through all sorts of things like that. And I took what I was inspired by, and I turned it into a graphic work. And then somebody else asked me, what else do you do? Can you do that as like a book, maybe for a search and find? And I said, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it next year. Well, guess what? Next year's a week away. I'm now scared. I don't fear animals. I fear drawing for a book.
There you go.
So there we go. And in between all of that, and well, one piece that took me a long time to complete. And I will say a long time to complete because I started this piece last year and it took me forever to finish it. It took me 18 months and it's only A4, but it's all
I love
done
it.
with ink. And
I love the out of the frame. Oh, I love it.
So when I
Wow.
bring it up and we actually look at it, it is 3D.
Absolutely incredible.
Breathtaking.
So I
You
taught
know it's
myself
good
how
when
to
it turns us into
3D.
boomers.
Yeah.
I taught myself 3D drawing and I taught myself pencils this year, along with a little bit of help from people that I met along the way, whether it was just sitting quietly in your lives and watching and listening and just being there. I actually learned a lot from everybody this year. I didn't just
We learned a
learn
lot from you.
I didn't learn just how to add extra to my artwork. I also learned humility for people who even though you are on the other side of the world, I sat there and I watched through most horrific natural disasters, and I watched through a heck of a lot this year. And my heart has been torn with you guys. Like, I have shed tears over watching videos after videos and supporting people just by even reposting. Like, it's not like I can do a lot from where I am. I am literally 24,000 miles from where Guinea is.
It's a little ways.
I
It's just short.
I have 11 aunties and uncles actually in the States. I was born of a grandfather who was born in Missouri, not too far from where Chad actually lives. So it was one of those things that broke my heart in multiple different ways to see such things happen. And I felt, what could I do? What could I do? I inspired people through art, and I did talk to a lot of people and came up with some plans to help other people with other things that we could actually put into play and work on through motivational centres to help people that are working with disaster relief, so to speak. So there's other things in play that have been background that I don't really talk a lot about. Like, I'm a background person. I'm quite happy to be in the background. I have always been quite happy to be that supporting friend if somebody needs somebody to talk to, if somebody is there that wants to talk but doesn't know how to talk and they just need somebody that's going to sit there and listen to them. I've been happy to play that role. I still am happy to play that role. Front and centre is not normally my place except for when I'm emceeing a funeral. It's pretty scary. My first public speaking job was in front of a funeral for 3,000 people. And I had a public speaking. I tell you, I did my last exam for my business management course. It was a public speaking role. I literally held my breath through the whole thing and passed out. I was
Really?
scared witless of standing in front of people and speaking.
She can face down snakes and spiders and horses and all kinds of critters, but public speaking gets her knees wobbly.
It was the thing that got me until I was asked to do my grandfather's funeral. And my grandfather, being an American that moved to Australia but was never a permanent resident, he was a permanent migrant. He always had his American residency. Now, he built roads from Port Hedland in the north to Newman in the east and Dalwallinu in the south. Now, when he passed away in Perth, which is 6 hours drive, but every road that I drove to bring us home from being there with him actually led us home that he had built. Now, that was
cool.
10 years ago yesterday that my granddad passed away. And in that 10 years, I have driven multiple thousands of miles on roads that he built. When I went out bush and was learning to shear and being a rouseabout, every road I took brought me home, and he'd worked on those roads. From the time he moved here in 1952, he came over on a boat with 11 brothers and sisters and drove across the Nullarbor. So I got a lot of inspiration right there from my granddad and a lot of the tough staying power. So
yeah, I love that thought. You know, you've been through the trauma of losing them, or you're taking them to lose them both, actually, and you're literally riding home on roads that he built. That's amazing. Exactly. That's amazing.
My granddad used to say one thing when I took up dressmaking, and I had done the eulogy at my mother's funeral, and my granddad turned around and said to me as he walked up and he slung his arm over my shoulder and he said, You did us proud there, girl. You did us proud. And I looked at him and I went, What do you mean? He said, Well, you got him from the cradle to the grave. And I went, What do you mean? And he said, Well, you make children's stuff and you've now stepped up, because I was offered a job literally 10 minutes after my mum's funeral by a funeral home. I was like, I don't think I can do that.
Hey, Lenny.
So I stepped up and I did that for a while. In between everything that I've done, I've actually done a lot of public speaking, which has been an absolute wonderful adventure, I will say that much. So, how do you say it in the multiple words? I have done a lot with my life. I have had experiences that most people would only dream of. I broke my back from my C3 to my tailbone basically when I was 15. I was told I wouldn't walk. I was told I wouldn't have children. 6 months later, I hiked the Grand Canyon. I said, no, that's not going to happen. So at the end of the day, I sit there and I think to myself, where in life do I want to be? Like TikTok was not a place I ever wanted to be. If it hadn't have been for my daughter sending me repetitive videos on TikTok and saying to me, Mum, just come and have a look, come and have a look. And signing up for an app that I had no clue how to navigate. I will say I really had no clue how to navigate this whole thing. And here we are 3 years on and navigating TikTok, building a community of artists, meeting new artists, bringing new artists into the fold, and doing what I can to help the community when I can. I'm not always here, but I do try and be available. Like, you can send me a message and say, hey, any suggestions of who to talk to for something, or if you want lessons, I can tell you people that do lessons, which is really good. I can send you on to them as well and say, hey, look, maybe catch up, maybe meet up, maybe have a chat. I have learned a lot in navigating this whole wonderful platform, which has taken me worldwide, which has seen me make a whole branch of new friends. So I sit there and I wonder sometimes where I would be if I hadn't have taken that leap of faith, and here I am. So it's been an interesting journey, I will say that. I have met some wonderful people. I've heard some amazing stories over my time being on here. I have heard Gin's story of how he started woodworking. I've heard some of Chad's story. And it's such a wonderful place that I'm hearing stories from all over the world of artists. Like, there's also Marty Ewok, who is an inspirational Aussie, and Gin, if you're going to get somebody on your show and speak to them, he is the one that I would recommend.
You know, I keep trying. He sent me a message about a week ago, maybe two, saying that he was doing a benefit once a day. He was doing a live, and I need to try to pop in there. I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but I've looked a couple times. I haven't seen him.
On the 19th, that ran from the 1st of December through to the 19th. But he, at the moment, has been flying back and forth across the country, or back and forth across the eastern states, in his own normal day job, doing his day job, as well as trying to hold the lives and trying to help with Twinkle Lights Nursery in Uganda. So yeah, it's been a year of it. So I've sort of popped in there here and there. I also mod for Marty as well. So I've been popping here, popping there, and visiting different sites and giving different ideas of how we could build that community too. So,
well, it sounds to me like you're recommending Marty Ewok for the Gim Project show. So I'll go ahead and tell you this. I'm a believer in Spurs. So Spurs, if you would like to reach out to him and be the conduit to make that happen, let's make it happen.
I definitely will. He is absolutely an amazing person. He has helped so many people over this last 12 months that I have known him. It would be roughly 12 months that I've known him. He has been so inspirational in building another 2 classrooms for the Twinkle Lights Nursery School, which is absolutely wonderful. He has been institutional in getting them food, getting shoes, getting books, you name it. See, that's also part of the educational person in me that does the felt boards and all the rest of it for children with disabilities, to be able to say and look at what he's doing and what other people from his community have been doing, and sort of chime in and with him and say, hey, well, they need running water. They need water, clean water. So I suggested a well, but then we found out they have a trickle feed of water that comes through. So then I'm suggesting to Marty maybe rainwater tanks with guttering so that they've got another source of water if that water ever gets cut off on them. So they pay for that water. But see, that's another institutional part of where I'm in the background quite happily doing what I do and trying to sort of balance between everything, which I'm absolutely loving because I can come up with the ideas. I can't come up with funding for the life of me. I support these things behind me. I support those a lot. Like we take in injured racehorses and we rehab them as well. And feeding them is definitely not cheap. Last year we had an astronomical hay shortage here in the West. I paid $17,000 in hay. And I can tell you I lost the one horse that meant the world to me, my absolute brilliant mare. I lost her last year on the 29th. Because of food shortage and everything else that went wrong, it was just the circumstances of the day. And she was the one that basically said, I've had enough. I can't survive on such little output. So unfortunately, we look at that and we go, well, I actually help my daughter with that. She does all the riding and the putting in the time and the effort to retrain. I help with the feeding and the paying for food. But I also am the love. I'm the one that will walk into the paddock and be the one that the horses will walk up to and give a hug at the end of the day and say, she was mean to me, Nella. And I'm just like, yep, I'm quite happy to do that. I ride occasionally. I don't always get on a horse. I did have a bad fall again this year, which was pretty devastating. But I am always there to back her and do what I can for her and try and help her as well. Now, she's constantly being offered horses. We can't give every horse a place, and there's some horses that just, how do you say, are not ever going to be able to be rehabbed to the point of where they are going to be a safe ride for people, and we have to make that call, and that is the hardest call as an owner of a horse to ever make. But I also know that people take them on and they treat them really terribly because they can't get them to do and respond how they want them to. So it's been part of my journey to also bring awareness to that as well. So like I said, I play a lot of a part in a background, and I'm quite happy to do that with people. And like everyone sometimes needs that friend that's in the background that says, hey, I'm here, run it by me, let me see if I can help you with something else to do, or how to say something, or how to word a grant or whatever. So I've sat there and done a lot of paperwork. If you hear noise in the background, that's my teenage boys coming home. They've just been out and it's nearly time for them to head up for their lunch with their great grandma. So
Well, Spurs, you have been instrumental for me and Chad. That's a fact. I can say for the Gin Project show, you were a serious consideration when we were talking about moving forward, as far as, the conversation around how amazing it was, the people that help us do this. So that's how Chad and I decided to keep doing it, is because there are people like you, that I can call and say, Spurs, this is what I'm thinking. Check me. Does this make sense? Is it moral? Is it ethical? Whatever the case may be. So I certainly appreciate you on a personal level, Spurs. We got Chad. Usually around this time puts his little girl to bed. So I want to make sure to give Chad an opportunity to throw out a question or chat with you or whatever before he bails. But normally we got to make sure. Now it's Christmas Eve, so it might be a little bit of a different time this evening. He might already be way late. But Chad, what you got, buddy?
Yo. I had a question earlier, but my dog has been snoring over here so loud I've had myself.
It's adorable. It's adorable.
The things you made with like the felt letters and all that whole collection.
The storyboards,
has that been something that I got to do that too, Jason. Has that been something that has been able to be shared with other people to help them? Or has that stayed in-house?
Yes, I actually used to do markets, and I used to actually sell them at the markets. that's how I met up with a lady from Canada who worked in the education board, and my product range was in Canada for a while, and the education board in Canada. So it was
Wonderful.
used instrumentally there. I had many people purchase over the years, like grandmothers, like my grandmother's age, that purchased for their great grandchildren who had used similar things in their childhood and were trying to find things that were similar over their years. And they found plastic and wood. If you've ever had plastic and wood thrown at you by an autistic child, I will say one thing: damn, it hurts. It
I
hurts.
have.
Yeah.
It's not something I recommend. It hurts. It really
I've had
does.
some amazing
Yeah.
things thrown at me. You'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask that because it's so amazing. I was hoping that it had made it outside of your household. You know, that's just one of those things.
It
So,
certainly did. I've had teachers from locally purchase it, teachers from as far as Canada, and I've had
sure.
stuff also sent to people that are in Zimbabwe and South Africa as well. It's been an amazing adventure. I will admit, I had stuff go to Brazil, and when the teacher that it was delivered to got the actual package, she recognized the name. She was my kindergarten teacher.
Oh,
So she
wow.
looked at, she went from
That's
the
awesome.
child that did not learn like every other child, you created something that helped somebody else learn. And I said, yeah, I rolled with it. So I
That's
was quite
fantastic.
amazed. She reached
Yeah,
out through email when she got the package, and she said, I just recognized the name that was actually with these products. And she went, I'm amazed. She said, you went from a child that I would assume that would have been, she said, I didn't know what you were going to do for sure. She said, I would have thought you would have been one of these bush people that just went back out bush and just never coped in society. But like I said to her, I said, I'm adaptable. I have to be. I've had to learn to be adaptable.
full circle to supplying her with learning tools. That is beautiful. Spurs, I knew a lot of, I knew a lot about what we talked about here tonight, but I didn't know a lot. And holy cow, is there anything you don't do? Like,
I'm not amendable to not trying anything. I will try anything in the world that I have to, within reason, of course. But there's most things
of
that
course.
if I'm put with a challenge, I'm going to accept that challenge. And hey, if I don't succeed the first time, I'll go back and do it a second and maybe a third until I do get it. And then, hey,
Yep.
we'll all be where we are. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been anything I've tried that I've really stepped back and said, I can't do this. I've actually always had a way of figuring something around it, whether it be modifying it to suit what I can do or modifying it to suit how somebody else can use that product. So
Sure.
it's one of those things that sort of I've learnt to adapt to our society, and I've learnt to adapt a lot of things to other people and how they can use it in their society. I've also made things that don't require batteries. Like,
Yeah.
damn, how expensive are batteries?
Right. That's
Right.
yes, absolutely. Especially in some of the places you were talking about.
Exactly. But not just not needing batteries, but also with storyboards and felt boards, they actually make the child tell a story and use their own mind, which then gives them creativity. And that's our next generations of writers and editors and painters and whatnot. It gives them that inspiration. So maybe one day down the track, my favorite saying is, it's not what I take with me, it's what I leave behind. Maybe that will actually be one of those things that I leave behind. I leave behind the next writer, next Harry Potter writer, but different.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I do have to get off of here because I got a little girl in there, and it's Christmas Eve here, and I got to go do
Definitely.
daddy duties. You know, the things that we have to do here. I don't want to spoil any, Christmas secrets
No.
for anybody who believes in the chats. So
And you best be telling her I gave him that mud map right to your house.
Right to your
Yes.
Hey
Spurs.
Dixie. Hey Mike.
Once-
I'm I'm just going to speak on behalf of everybody that I've read in the chat here. Yeah, sure, Mikey. We all love you, Spurs, and you do so much for so many people that I just appreciate you as a human being in general. And
Thank
yeah, I just
Absolutely.
we love you,
Chad?
and you
I
keep doing what you're
appreciate
doing.
you guys for coming into my life a year ago, almost a year ago. I actually really
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you for
And what
coming
you
into
do for
ours.
our community.
It has been a very, very positive experience, and yeah. Again, I got to get out of here, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Rev Art. You can catch him on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Yours truly is his co-host. I don't know why he keeps me around, y'all. I think he's just stuck with me at this point, but I'm glad he does. Turn on your notifications. He's been doing some amazing lives. He's been doing some fantastic carving stuff. If you go to Cutsaw and you need some tools, put in Chad Rev Art, and you will get a little bit of a discount there. Appreciate
Rev,
you, brother.
all caps, no spaces.
Merry Christmas to the little
Absolutely.
one and your wife. And thank you, brother. What a great year you've had, man.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you guys, all of you. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, nothing. Whatever it is
Festivus.
you do or don't do, I hope that you are doing well doing that. And I may be on live later because I've got a whole bunch of stuff to still get done before tomorrow. So
Me too.
keep tuned in. Yeah. Freak.
Chad Rev
Hey,
Art.
freak you too.
He's really Krampus.
Big love, everybody. Spurs. Mwah! All the way across the world. I will see you,
Love,
brother.
Chad.
See you, homie. Merry Christmas, my guy.
See y'all
Appreciate you,
later.
man. To another year, man. To another year. Spurs, is there anything that I mentioned that I got wrong that we need to clean up before we let you go? And is there anything that we wanted to cover that we didn't talk about? The one thing we didn't talk too much about that I will mention is you said there is a possibility, and I'm excited about this, that you will make some prints available on a limited scale, on a limited edition basis this coming year in 2025. You potentially are going to have prints of your work available. And I would like to raise my hand. I love all of them, but you particularly have one that's kind of a steampunk kind of thing where she's got a hat on. I absolutely love that piece. If you should happen to make it available in print, I would like to go ahead and get in line, please.
No worries. Yes, we are. Well, I am looking at doing a range of prints. Like when I first started drawing fairies and all the rest of it, I did not think anyone would really want that on their wall or anywhere else for that matter. And I have had over the last 12 months of developing what I've been doing, I've had that many messages and I've turned them down and said, hey, look, I don't sell my artwork. It's for my therapy and all the rest of it. And it's just for me, really. It's just going to sit in my cupboard. And then I had somebody the other day that I actually sent a digital copy for her daughter because her daughter has Down syndrome. She offered to pay for it and I said, no, I don't want payment for this. I said, I can't send you a physical copy because I don't have a physical copy. I have a photograph, but you can get it printed. And she said to me, she said, I would love that. She has printed the actual copy off and it was absolutely beautiful, the smile on her daughter's face. So she sent me a photo. I won't use that as a promotional thing because that is not who I am. Like I was never overly into doing my art for monetary benefits. It was more just for me to find out who I was and how far I could go with my art. But after that lovely photo that I received from her mum, I went, well, if that gets that kind of smile off a little child, maybe I might release a limited amount of prints somewhere, maybe in the mid of the year. Between doing that, we are working on a colouring book to have it like my images that I do turn to a black and white. So people that want to be able to draw that say, I can't draw no matter how hard I try, maybe they can get some enjoyment out of actually colouring something that somebody has drawn and said, hey, well, let's turn it to something that maybe you can work on and build your skills by just colouring. So just colouring, think of a child. When a child first off picks up a pencil, they're learning to colour, and then all of a sudden they pick up a pencil and they go, I'm going to draw a stick figure. From the stick figure, they draw a stick animal. From that, then they draw the world. So maybe that will inspire somebody else.
Before you go, Spurs, would you mind? There's a couple people in the chat asking if you would show your art again. I know you had a couple pieces behind you. Would you mind? As we play out here pretty soon? Would you mind just to show us again?
We'll go back for that one.
Oh my goodness!
So I think you were with me most of the time I actually did that piece, or I was in your live modding while I was doing that piece.
Oh, it's amazing. Gosh, it's so cool.
That's one of them. Actually, well, I'll even go back to showing the realism, how it all started.
Oh, y'all. The eyes. The eyes. Hey, Vicky.
Was the absolute eyes. And that's how it all started, was to work out whether I could actually get somebody's emotion captured in their eye. And
you do. You did.
There was this piece.
Unbelievable.
She's absolutely beautiful. I loved her. I loved every moment of actually drawing this piece. Like I fell in love with drawing this piece, should I say. It was.
Is there any portion of that is self-portrait?
Somewhat. Do you know, I see my own face more often than not. So everything that I draw probably does have some aspect
I love it.
of me. It's kind of weird because it's the one thing that I do see every day. And hey, if I don't look in the mirror and I walk out the house and I go to work and I have hair sticking out everywhere or all the rest of it, it would be like, yeah. It would denote how I grew up, very, very feral. And there was this piece as well.
Oh my goodness, Spurs. The expression on her face is just incredible.
It just says it all. It was just something totally different. It was an aspect of looking at somebody who basically, I think when I actually drew those eyes, it was more through a sense of how I was feeling that day. Like, I'd been at work all day, backhanded compliment from my boss, and I just looked at it and I thought, really? Yeah, and that's the exact expression that's on that face. It was just like me saying, but yeah, like everyone that does draw, they have a certain aspect, and everyone has a great way of drawing certain things, and they actually roll that into their own art somehow. Like, I've seen so many portrait artists and they don't even realize that they do to a certain point self-portraits in their artwork. It's kind of funny.
Well, Spurs, you, for me, are personally an inspiration. I think it's fair to say that we've become friends over the past year, and you are one of the confidants, one of the people behind the scenes, as you said, that I'm fortunate enough to be able to bounce ideas off of, or, hey, like I said earlier, hey, Spurs, does this make sense? Or, is there some morality problem here? Is there an ethical problem or whatever? So I personally, Spurs, am absolutely grateful to you for being such a wonderful friend, such a wonderful inspiration, and for just taking the time out of your busy life for somebody like me. I really do appreciate it, Spurs. And
you are always welcome.
And you being a mod, and I know for a fact that you are super helpful to multiple other people on this platform and others. And I'm just grateful to you. I'm so grateful for you doing this show. I'm excited that we got this one, and it'll be available over on the YouTubes and under the Gin Project. And it Spurs this year. I would send her DMs or carrier pigeons or whatever and let her know, get in line. When she starts doing prints, there aren't going to be many of them. So you're going to want to get in line because I would imagine they're not going to be around for long.
It will definitely be a limited amount, and probably most of the proceeds will go back into probably funding something else.
Of course. What is your
It's
favorite
just
color,
there.
Spurs?
My
So,
favorite color is teal.
is what?
Is teal.
It's teal. Now, normally, my dear friend Haley Beth is in charge of the hearts at the end of the show that go into the chat. But Haley is spending the evening with her family, of course, because it's Christmas Eve. So, um,
Haley and I did discuss this because we don't have a teal heart, and my second favorite color is silver. We do actually have a grayish color heart.
Aaron found a teal one. Aaron Hammond's done found a teal heart. So, if y'all would please, there you go, drop teal heart. Thank you, Dixie, and gray hearts in the chats. If we could get a mod to get a picture of those, I would very much appreciate it because those are always awesome. And Spurs, while we're headed out here, is there anybody you would like to say anything to, or is there any last thoughts that you might want to share with us?
I just want to say thank you to everyone in the art community for being an inspiration to me. Well, maybe I've inspired you, and thank you so much for your time on your Christmas Eve when you could have been sitting by the fire, spending it with your family, stringing popcorn for all I know, because that was one thing that my granddad and I used to love to do. But you spent your Christmas Eve with me, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, and I love you all with everything that I've got. And I want to see everyone in 2025 take that leap, no matter how bad you feel or how anxious you feel about it. Take that leap, just one foot in front of the other, and go for it. Don't let anything hold you back, because if you let anything hold you back in this life, where are you going to be? My secret to living life and my secret to life is to live for life, not to hold back and wait until the right time, because there's never going to be that. Just go for it.
Go make it happen right now. Don't wait. Life is short. Go follow your dreams. Chase them down right now. Right now.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Spurs. You're an absolutely amazing artist, an amazing human being. Please thank your children. I know they're adult children at this point for their time. I know this is normally when you'd be doing some stuff with them. So thank you for making the time for us, Spurs. And I really appreciate you, Spurs. I can't even put into words how important you are to the Ginn Project and to me personally. So thank you, Spurs, for making all this possible. And thank you for coming on the show, my friend. Everyone, the great, the incomparable Spurs. We made it happen, Spurs, from all the way around the world.
Months in the making, and we're finally here.
We did it. We did it. Well, Spurs, you have a wonderful Christmas day, and I hope to see you around. I'm sure that we will.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Considering this afternoon is quiet time, everyone goes and actually probably will have a snooze after belly full of food. So we'll enjoy it as much as we all can. All right, everyone have a Merry Christmas, and see you on the flip side of it, and I'll see you on your Christmas day.
Yes, ma'am. Very Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa to those that celebrate Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah for those that celebrate Hanukkah. And for all my pagan friends out there, happy, holiday
Yule.
season.
Yule.
Happy Yule or Festus.
Yuletide.
So
Festive
thank you,
season.
everybody. Appreciate y'all. Have a safe holiday. Don't be acting crazy. Look out for each other. Take care of each other. This is the time that a lot of people feel down around the year. So reach out to your friends. Let them know that you love them. Appreciate everybody. Thank you, Spurs. You're amazing. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Appreciate you coming through. Aaron Hammonds, you're the man, dude. Talk to y'all later.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye, Spurs. Much love. Appreciate you.